It is with great pleasure that the Rotary Clubs of Gig Harbor celebrate the Star Awards, honoring individuals in our community who, while not Rotarians, live the Rotary ideal of service above self. Tonight we honor 3 more individuals who embody the ideal of service. Chosen by the North Club is Carolyn Wiley. Chosen by the Midday Club is Robert Vollbracht. And chosen by the Morning Club is Patricia Lantz. In addition to this public recognition here tonight, each Star Award recipient is also given the honor of becoming a Paul Harris Fellow. As new Paul Harris Fellows, Carolyn, Robert, and Patricia are in good company, including U.S. astronauts Neil Armstrong and James Lovell, Russian President Boris Yeltsin, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, animator and original Imagineer Walt Disney, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, UN Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar, creator of the Salk vaccine, Jonas Salk, our own U.S. Congressman Derek Kilmer, and many of our own local Rotarians. Now, after 11 years, 33 remarkable individuals have been selected as Star Award recipients, each chosen because of a visible commitment to service in our local communities and beyond. Each honoree has taken responsibility for leadership as they contribute significant personal time and effort to the causes they've chosen. Clearly not motivated by the desire for recognition, each Star Award recipient has chosen to serve simply because he or she saw a need and chose to respond by getting personally involved. Each has demonstrated enthusiasm, dedication, and a willingness to serve in a way that has changed lives and has inspired us. Chosen by the Rotary Club of Gig Harbor North is Carolyn Wiley for her impressive record of volunteering and dedication to supporting nonprofit organizations in efforts to enhance the quality of life for others.
Advance. Slash them hip to shoulder. Advance. Backhand slash hip to shoulder. Advance. Slash it up the middle. Flip the sword, wipe off the gore, and run them through. It gets me through many committee meetings when people batter on. I was lucky enough to marry David Wiley about 62 years ago. We have 3 daughters, we have 2 stellar sons-in-law, and 5 grandchildren. And if I had known how great grandchildren could be, I would have had them first. We moved to the Key Peninsula about 26 years ago. I was an active arts advocate, a school teacher. I am passionate about art and history and environmental preservation. I regard it as my civic duty to do all I can do to see to it that learning environments for children are as enriching as possible. I rack up a lot of volunteer hours because I have a tendency to stand too close to people with really good ideas. However, I do not want to be the little old lady who stands in the way of progress, and so I am limiting some of my activities. And from henceforth, I will only be volunteering for the KP News, the Long Branch Improvement Club, the Long Branch Foundation, and I will continue to teach Tai Chi sword fighting.
Yeah, right. And it's all your fault.
Yeah. I happen to stand too close to Dana Webster, who conned me into joining the KP Farm Tour and the Farm Council. And for the past 10 years, raised between $10,000 and $18,000 a year to fund the farm tour, while also chairing and managing the Long Branch Fiber Arts Show, which is presented in conjunction with the farm tour. Dana Webster is also responsible for my involvement with the KP newspaper. She was an enthusiastic supporter of my brief stand-up open mic stint and introduced me to Ted Olinger, who eventually extended an invitation to join the KP News staff. And so far, Lisa Bryan has not seen fit to fire me. Most of my volunteer has centered around the Long Branch Improvement Club. There, another person who had really good ideas was Linda LeBlanc, and we instituted the Kids and Christmas program and the Trunk or Treat program, both of which are still continuing and are coming up on their 20th years. The thing that is unique about Kids and Christmas is Toys for Tots donates toys to provide a gift for the children that qualify for free and reduced lunch at Evergreen. And the Long Branch Improvement Club and the Long Branch Foundation provide the funds to buy enough toys to give a toy to the family of every kid in the Evergreen service area. The Long Branch Foundation was founded in 2016 to supplement the ability to support community activities and to provide direct support to the elementary school and high school scholarships. Prior to the foundation being established, a lot of our scholarship funding came from the bar tips at our annual dances, Labor Day and Memorial Day. So we were known as the group that danced and drank for education. The Long Branch Improvement Club was founded to establish a school, donate the land, and build the building for the first school south of the Home Bridge. This support for Evergreen and education on the South Key has continued for the past 100 years. We just celebrated our centennial. We finally got the Centennial Garden, the Centennial Celebration, and I worked with the Centennial Committee to secure the visit of the Virginia V boat, and we had a cruise from Tacoma to the Long Branch Marina. When Marcia Harris invited me to consider serving on the Facilities Planning Committee for the Peninsula School District, I jumped at the chance to be on hand to advocate for Evergreen. I have worked with the Long Branch Foundation's Student Support Services group, and we solicit, review, and award mini grants to teachers who request special enrichment opportunities for their students. In my experience, I have found out that alone I can make a minimal contribution to the welfare of my community. However, by leveraging my ability to write grants, I can have a far larger impact on the community. And the best advice I ever got about soliciting funds for charitable organizations was never overlook the most unlikely alliance. Worst that can happen is you'll get a no. Sometimes you'll get a no, 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 hell no, but you haven't lost anything in the process.
Chosen by the Rotary Club of Gig Harbor Midday is Robert Vollbracht for being the driving force behind the Gig Harbor Key Peninsula Homeless Coalition, working to unite efforts to combat homelessness across Gig Harbor and the Key Peninsula.
We don't have hard data, but we know there are at least 150 homeless people living on the Key Peninsula and about 50 in the Gig Harbor area. Some of them, unfortunately, are displaced youth who are couch surfing. Unfortunately, we're seeing many more seniors living in cars in the last 6 months. Hello, my name is Bob Vollbracht. I am a community volunteer and live in Gig Harbor with my wife. We moved down here 10 years ago to be close to our daughter, son-in-law, 2 granddaughters, and our son. So we're all nicely connected here in the harbor. Throughout my life, I've always had an interest and compassion to serve. And I realized this in working with my father at his business, which started when I was 8 years old and grew as I moved into my own business career. We all have highlights in our life and people that are milestones that impact our lives and motivate us and make us who we are. And one of the most important that I'd like to mention today is Elaine Leslie. I first met Elaine when she worked at World Concern, which is now Christa Ministries, in 1980. And at that time helped them move medicines and relief goods from the U.S. all over the world. What Elaine taught me is that you can take the gifts that you have and apply them to everyday life and make a difference. And that's what's been so important and rewarding in my life. I cannot do any of this without the Lord's grace, certainly my wife's ongoing support. A couple years after we moved to Gig Harbor, I started to volunteer at the Fish Food Bank and got connected as well with Children's Home Society through Gina Cabadoo and Lori Mertens. Lori was at that time going to Harborview Fellowship Church, and they were putting on a back-to-school event for families that needed help with back-to-school supplies. The following year, the back-to-school event looked like it may be canceled. I went down and talked to Gina, and Children's Home Society stepped in, and from then on has supported that event. I also want to thank Gina. She is the main reason that I am involved in the community here today. From then on, I continued to be at the Fish Food Bank and started to understand how all of the incredible groups in this community were connected but could be better connected. So in 2019, we started the Gig Harbor Key Peninsula Homeless Coalition to bring together all of these agencies to help the homeless in Gig Harbor and on the Key Peninsula. And as we worked together in the coalition and we met more people, everybody stepped in to say, we want to be connected. We know we can collaborate and want to be part of a bigger solution. That's basically what has been my role is just letting people tell me they want to get involved. Our main contact for our homeless these days, that when we can't see them out in their tents, are our food banks. The Gig Harbor Peninsula Fish Food Bank and Community Services, Food Backpacks for Kids, KPCS Food Bank and Senior Center, and the Bischoff Food Bank are instrumental in helping us identify and connect with those homeless individuals and many of the at-risk individuals. We get many calls from our food banks saying, we talked to this person today, they're concerned, they don't have rent money, they have a son that's homeless, they have a mother who's living in their car. And from that moment on, that person is now within the community safety net formed by the community support group. One of the great examples of success in partnering in the community is the Gig Harbor Midday Rotaries program to design, construct, and install little food pantries, which are now at 5 locations, one in Gig Harbor on this side of the Purdy Bridge, 4 on the other side. We have worked with them to identify some of those new locations that would be excellent for not only at-risk families and people that need food for a day or two, but also the homeless encampment locations and where people are living in their cars. Twice a week, we are putting water, hand warmers, hats, tarps, hygiene items in the little food pantries for our homeless. It was a wonderful collaboration of something that was going to be used wonderfully for food, but has been expanded to other items for inclement weather use, and also resource materials, as Rotary allowed us to put little boxes on the side that we could put resource cards in and information in for people that wanted phone numbers and needed to know who to contact for services. The primary providers today are the Homestead community, Children's Home Society, our 4 food banks, certainly Kiwanis Rotary, Chapel Hill, Harbor Hope Center, Harbor Christian Center, Peninsula Christian Fellowship, Harbor Covenant, certainly Agnes Day. And as we move forward, we ask everybody to at least contact us, take a look, call us, give us some suggestions about what you think we can do better, how we can serve more appropriately, and keep our residents who are part of this community living here, and keep those kids in school that are growing up here in school today, and not having the pain of having them have to move to Port Orchard or Bremerton or downtown Tacoma. That's the last thing we want. This community is incredibly service-oriented and very compassionate. I'm very appreciative that we can live here.
Chosen by the Rotary Club of Gig Harbor Morning is Patricia Lantz for her passionate leadership and momentous impact in the Gig Harbor community for over 55 years, and most recently in her work establishing Gig Harbor Now, a nonprofit community-supported digital news source.
I am an optimist, clear and simple. That's all there was to it. I'm going to credit my parents. I had an extremely supportive and loving and embracing family who had such lofty expectations for me. How could I possibly disappoint them? My mother believed essentially in the goodness of people. My father, more practical. Put your back into it. Know what it is you care about. Have the courage of your conviction and go do it. 18 years old and it's time to leave the nest. I push off into the unknown to go to Stanford my freshman year. What happens almost immediately? I meet my soulmate, John. And for the next 62 years, we've shared a life of visualizing, imagining, and seeing a future that we could bring into creation that would be something for our family and for our legacy. He lights my way, and I hope I light his. A part of being an optimist is being an activist. We came to Gig Harbor in 1967, our 3-year-old Martha by our sides. I knew immediately that Gig Harbor was where we wanted to live. It was clear that it valued citizens getting together, working in common cause. I met Gretchen Wilbert, who was the first kindergarten teacher in Gig Harbor. So we're going to fast forward 30 years. It's now Mayor Gretchen Wilbert and Representative Pat Lantz. We were a team made to be. We shared a constituency. We were a perfect partnership to get things done. And we did. And that was a perfect example of what it means to me to be an activist when you can join forces with others to get your job done. I want to tell you what I began to think about. What have I done? I have an 80-year-old birthday coming up. I don't like that very much, but maybe I can convince myself I've accomplished a few things. So I made a list. I'm going to do it chronologically. I have an act of bravery. That's 1970 or the 70s. I was elected and I took the position reluctantly, with fear and trepidation, the chairmanship of the Citizens Committee for developing the comprehensive land use plan for the Gig Harbor Peninsula. We attracted national attention because we had such an innovative plan that we had put into place. That's number one. Number two, Activision. Well, Gig Harbor was growing. Booth Gardner, who was then county exec, appointed me to the Pierce County Library Board. The major thing we did was pass a bond issue to build the library that's up in Gig Harbor Uptown. It was really a driving force for me because I optimistically was looking at all of these shining things on the hill that would represent the good things our plan had done and the quality of life we could expect. And what's more symbolic than a library? It was the biggest library bond ever passed in Pierce County. Number 3, the biggie. It is the act of public service. That was my courage, I won't say it any other way, to run for a state office and succeed by a very small number of votes, and then be challenged with probably one of the biggest infrastructure projects in years, decades, in the state of Washington. That was the construction of the New Narrows Bridge. Many of you were here when we used to talk about it. If it's just us, it's not justice, because we were being asked to fund a transportation corridor that was meant for economic development for the whole state, and we were funding the majority of the effort. I'm stressing we because it was a partnership with the community. We were not being treated fairly, and we ended up with having a public finance project. Bechtel doesn't own our bridge, and we saved a tremendous amount of money with public financing. So that's from 1996 to 2008, come time to me to retire. I'd turned 70 then, and Christine Gregoire, our governor at the time, appointed me to the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission. A thrilling thing. I call this an act of personal satisfaction. After everything else I've been doing, to be a steward of something as valuable as our state parks. And I was very happy that that was bringing my public service career to an end. However, remember, I'm turning 80. It's 2019. Our world just turned upside down. I have sage advice from one of my favorite authors. Isabel Allende had said through a protagonist, 80, the perfect age, the age of memory, the age of making an inventory of life. Listen to that. I've done it. I've made that inventory. But have I made a difference? That's not for me to judge. It is, for me, an issue of what made me feel good, because it was the right thing to do, and we got us on the right path. So works of service in the common good does give meaning to life, and it is the right thing to do. So doing that inventory is very, very helpful to me personally. But with the world in the state that it wasn't time, in my book, to toss in the towel. What was next? Allende's protagonist had something that was absolutely not helpful. He said, yes, 80 is a perfect age. You have fulfilled your obligations. You can do anything you want. Well, I might have fulfilled my obligations, but I haven't really fulfilled responsibilities if there's something I can do, and if taking care of the world is all of our responsibility. But what was it going to be when my optimism had been severely shaken by what was going on in our country and across the world? Opportunity did come along in the form of an inspired vision and an essential mission that Charlie Clark Jackson brought to me. And therein began the final chapter of this life up to date, Gig Harbor Now. Public service journalism, hyperlocal news, Gig Harbor Now, the eyes, ears, and voice of our community. What an opportunity, and what a image that she projected to us at a time when those things would make a great deal of difference in how our community was able to function. We ended up with a uniquely qualified, uniquely enthusiastic, optimistic, and talented group of people, including many of you Rotarians. It was a community success story. We have of the fierce optimism of those of us on the inside who knew that we could be successful. There was the spirited optimism of a community that knew what they wanted and needed. There was a shared belief that democracy depends on a reliable flow of news that gives you the information that you have to have if you're going to be making decisions in the public good. We needed to be able to fulfill our civic responsibilities with that information. We needed to be able to hold power accountable. We needed to have communications that bound us together in the normal human things of, whose kids are playing on what football team, and then what the garden club is doing. Those are all parts of being a community. With that, you're looking at a proud founder of Gig Harbor Now. There are many others of you here who are proud founders of Gig Harbor Now. The trustworthy, unbiased, nonpartisan, community-supported, professional infrastructure for the times, but it is now an essential element of our community. And thanks to you, it is exactly that.
Whether we are promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, helping mothers and children survive and thrive, supporting education, or engaging in projects to support the local economy, Rotary clubs here in Gig Harbor and across the globe share the ideal of service above self. We are honored and proud that tonight, through the Star Awards, we have once again had the opportunity to recognize members of our community like Carolyn, Robert, and Patricia, who share our commitment to service. On behalf of a grateful community, we thank you.